I am Reed, just a normal 27-year-old guy talking about building wealth and getting your life together in your 20s. If you are anything like me growing up here in America, you've probably heard this particular story more times than you can count. It goes something like this. You go to college, you land a steady job, you buy a house, you work diligently for 40 years, and then at 65, you retire with $1 million tucked away in your 401k. Oh, and maybe you start a family, find a partner, get a lovely 2-story house with a white picket fence and a perfectly green yard. That is the American dream. Isn't it? The picture of what we were all supposed to aspire to, what we were meant to live for. But let us be truly honest with ourselves, that dream it just doesn't quite fit anymore. At least not for so many of us in our 20s. Trying to navigate this incredibly complex world, we refacing home prices that feel completely out of reach, student loan debt that feels like a constant shadow, job markets that are anything but stable, and an economy that often feels like it is actively working against every financial goal we set. And, it can feel so disheartening sometimes, like we constantly pushing against a current that is just too strong. So today, my friends, I really want to gently break down why this traditional American dream in its original form feels a bit broken for our generation. We'll explore what has genuinely changed, and perhaps more importantly, what I am personally doing, what many of us are doing, to build a life that offers freedom, flexibility, and real long-term wealth, even if it looks vastly different from what our parents or grandparents envisioned for us, because, it is about finding our own gentle way, our own authentic path. Let's think back to the American dream, the version that people really embraced in the 50s and 60s. That version, it actually worked quite beautifully for that era. And why did it work so well? Well, there were a few key reasons. One income. Imagine this, one single income could genuinely buy a house and comfortably support an entire family. You only needed one person working. And you could own a home outright, providing for everyone. Education was incredibly affordable back then. Practically, a given job security was at its absolute peak, and home ownership. Oh, that was the primary vehicle for building wealth. It was where you truly stored your money, the most reliable asset, the best investment you could possibly make. But now if we fast forward to 2025, it feels like almost every single one of those foundational pillars has shifted dramatically. Wages, they simply haven't kept pace with inflation. Not even close. The average house, it is now well over $400,000. And let us be real, that is often not even a really nice house. Sometimes it is a bit, less than ideal rent prices. They just skyrocketing everywhere. And job loyalty, that cherished concept, it does really protect us from unexpected layoffs anymore, or from technology, even AI, stepping in and potentially replacing human roles. So trying to play by those old rules in this completely new economic landscape, it truly feels like we're resetting ourselves up for disappointment, almost like playing a game with outdated instructions. Another significant shift, and this is a big one for many of us, is that college, it is the golden ticket it once was, and please don't misunderstand me. I am absolutely not anti-education. Knowledge is precious. But the idea that any degree automatically equals guaranteed success, that is just completely outdated. People are graduating today with student debt ranging from $60,000 to sometimes over $150,000. And then they often landing entry-level jobs that pay a modest $40,000 to $50,000 a year, and that is if they fortunate enough to even secure one quickly. Now compare that to someone who dedicates their time to learning coding or design through free resources like YouTube, or attends a specialized trade school or a focus boot camp, or even uses incredible tools like ChatGPT to build an online skill like SEO, or for smarter investing strategies. These individuals often find themselves earning more, earning it faster, and with significantly less debt burden. Even in my own experience, I went to school, I earned my degree in computer science, and honestly, I struggled for the longest time to find a job in my field. I eventually shifted my focus to data analytics, and yes, I have a job now. But it pays me $19 an hour, and just to be completely transparent with you all, on my tax return last year, I made $32,000. Now, I am in a fortunate position where I don't have student debt because I worked full-time, all through college, and managed to pay off my loans as I went. But that wasn't exactly what I was promised. I was told I'd go to school, get my degree, and by now I'd be making a comfortable $150,000. It is not about quitting school entirely. I am certainly not advocating for that, but it is about genuinely understanding the return on investment. Is it truly worth accumulating $60,000 to $150,000 in student debt? If you are going to graduate and it might take you 10 years in your chosen field just to earn that money back, the traditional American dream, it simply didn't account for the astronomical cost of college today, or how little some degrees would actually pay in return. Now, moving on to another core aspect, buying a house, it is just not the same anymore either. Homeownership has always been one of the central pillars of the traditional American dream. We were raised with this idea that buying a home is the ultimate milestone of success, that you haven't truly made it in life until you own your own place. But in 2025, for the vast majority of us, that has become borderline unrealistic. Median home prices are hovering around $430,000 depending on your city or state. Let's just consider a hypothetical. If you were to put down a 20% down payment, that is a staggering $86,000. And honestly, I don't know many people in our age group who just have $86,000 sitting around. On top of that, we're looking at interest rates between 6 and 7%, plus our maintenance fees are steadily climbing, property taxes are going up, and our homeowner's insurance, it all adds up so incredibly fast. And here's the quiet truth, buying a house doesn't always make the most financial sense anymore. Let's say, for instance, you are paying $2,800 a month on a mortgage versus renting a lovely place for $1,600 a month. If you were to consistently invest that $1,200 difference every single month into a diversified ETF like VU or SHD, over 10 years, assuming a modest 8% return, you could accumulate nearly $225,000. And truthfully, no one really knows what the future holds for home prices. We can hope they continue to rise, but we can account for the possibility of a market correction or even a crash. Owning is always inherently better than renting. In fact, renting and wisely investing the difference can often make you wealthier in the long run, and it offers so much more mobility, more freedom, which is something many of us truly value. But this goes directly against that traditional American dream narrative, doesn't it? And another significant shift, the 9-to-5 job. It is no longer the safety net it once was. We used to believe we were secure in our corporate positions, but now mass layoffs often arrive unexpectedly via email. Technology and AI are continuously replacing jobs, and remote work, which brought so much flexibility, is being consistently pulled back, with many companies pushing for a full return to the office. Now, I am not anti-corporate by any means. I work a corporate job myself, and I genuinely appreciate the company I am with. But the crucial difference is, I don't treat my job as my sole plan. It is not my only strategy for success in life. The new American dream for many of us isn't about having one job forever. It is about steadily accumulating our money to achieve early financial independence. It is about building multiple streams of income through side hustles. It is about investing thoughtfully and consistently from an early age, and it is about learning how to gracefully navigate change and cleverly leverage new technologies. So, our security now, it truly comes from our adaptability, our resilience, not from unwavering loyalty to a single corporation. The old dream, that traditional American dream, essentially traded time for stability. It was all about how stable you could make your life, how you could provide for a family, how you could afford a home. It was wonderful for stability, but it came at a significant cost. It often meant sacrificing your freedom, your precious time, and your ability to truly choose what you wanted to do with your life. People would spend 40 years grinding, often in jobs they didn't particularly love, just to enjoy a few golden years at the very end of their lives. But with our generation, we're just not inclined to do that. We don't necessarily want to wait until 65 to retire or to become millionaires at that age. Because what if you never even get there? What if you simply don't want to wait that long? That is precisely why so many of us in our 20s and 30s are gently rejecting the idea of delaying our lives. We want freedom now. We crave flexibility now. We desire autonomy now. Not just a single retirement far off in the distance, but many, many retirements throughout our daily lives. We're seeking creative work and making smart financial moves that actively buy back our time. So in my humble opinion, what is this new dream? What does the new American dream look like for us? Well, here's how I am personally rewriting the American dream for myself, and perhaps, just perhaps, it might resonate with some of you out there too. First, I am choosing to rent and invest. Instead of constantly stressing about the pressure of buying a home, I plan to rent comfortably below my means and diligently invest the difference into broad market ETFs, like VU and some Bitcoin. My hope is that over the long term, looking 10 to 20 years down the road, by the time I am 35 or 45, this strategy will pay off massively. Second, I am focusing on building valuable skills rather than accumulating more student debt. I already have my bachelor's degree, and honestly, I don't see a compelling reason to go back to school right now with the incredible power of the internet. I genuinely believe I can learn almost any skill I desire. Whether that is new proficiencies through YouTube tutorials, devouring insightful books, or investing in my mind through other accessible resources rather than chasing additional degrees, I've been diligently researching various side hustles, exploring areas like SEO, and looking into a whole host of different ways I can acquire new skills and offer them to others. Next, and this really loops back to my first point, is investing early and investing often. I don't earn a six-figure salary. As I mentioned, I make $19 an hour, but I consistently invest $50 or $100 every single week. every single week without fail. I am putting my money to work, and that consistency, that gentle persistence, it will compound beautifully over time. Then there is owning my time. I work a corporate job, yes, but I also lovingly run this channel, and I know it is not a huge channel, but I pour a lot of thought and time into it. I aspire to be someone who creates more than I consume. I want to build. I want to share. And I am slowly but surely creating a life that isn't solely dependent on one single income stream. And that, my friends, is the ultimate goal for many of us, multiple income streams to gently support our lives. And finally, my last point is investing in health, mindset, and the right people. I actively invest in my physical health by running and working out regularly. I am making a conscious effort to read more, to take more quiet time for myself, and I am learning to rest much more often. Because wealth, true wealth, means absolutely nothing if you are mentally and physically drained. We don't too want to be constantly exhausted, stressed, or anxious. And in our modern world, which is so often filled with anxiety and mental pressures, I am really trying my best to gently go against that grain to find peace amidst the chaos. So, what does this new American dream truly look like for me, for someone who is 25 years old and who has, in a gentle way, let go of the traditional American dream because it just doesn't feel right anymore? Well, my new American dream is about freedom over status. It feels like nowadays we all cherish and respect true freedom far more than superficial status. Who genuinely cares if you are a multi-millionaire working a 9 to 5? That drains you. But if you earn a decent living and you have the beautiful freedom to choose what you truly want to do, that to me triumphs over everything else. Next would be flexibility over ownership. When I shared my thoughts on buying versus renting, it seems so many of us, especially in our age group, truly value flexibility more than the rigid ownership of a house. We love knowing that we have the option to do whatever we want, to change where we live, to explore new places, and not be tied down by a mortgage or a house for the next 15 to 30 years of our lives. And then, lastly, it is alignment over external approval. It is about being deeply aligned with your personal values, being in harmony with your mental well-being goals, and being in sync with your financial aspirations. Rather than constantly seeking approval from others, look, the old dream. It worked for many, countless people accomplished it and thrived within its framework. But that old dream, it was truly built for another generation. It was designed for a time when we had a completely different economy, and clinging to that same traditional dream today, it can make so many of us feel financially broken, or deeply frustrated, and perhaps even stuck. Now, I am not saying reject it completely. I, at one point in my life, would love to have a family, and I would genuinely love to have a 2-story house and a beautiful green yard. All I am gently suggesting is redesign it for yourself, make it truly yours. Stack your wealth slowly and thoughtfully, live with intention, and please never feel like you have to play by rules that no longer genuinely serve you. So if this message resonates with you, my friends, please take a moment. I would genuinely appreciate it if you would subscribe to this channel. We rebuilding something much more significant than just wealth here. We rebuilding long-term values, setting meaningful goals for ourselves. And it is not about overnight success, but it is about the journey to long-term freedom and peace. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like, comment, and let me know how you feel about the traditional American dream, or if you have a new goal, a new dream for yourself. And I'll see you all in the next video.